Hi everyone, welcome into another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your HUT lineup decisions. Again, as of this recording tomorrow, I'll be heading to the All-Star event in Toronto for the weekend. If you guys are there, if anyone's attending any of the nights, whether it's a skills competition or the actual game, I'll be at the Hockey Hall of Fame for the actual tournament for the All-Star Championship for NHL 24 on Friday, and then I'll be out throughout the rest of the weekend. So if you guys are there and you see me walking around, come say hi. I love meeting people in the community, so I just wanted to get that out there. Also, guys, if you haven't subscribed and you watch these videos, please subscribe with notifications on so you get your chance to read your question. And even if you're not going to ask questions or like that, you just watch these videos, maybe like the 20 minutes a day of just talking shell, subscribe. It helped me a lot. I'm almost at 60,000 subs, which is a pretty big milestone for me. So let's get into it. Also, the Slava Voinov thing, you're going to see a lot of that. That was the player I was talking about fantasy hockey last year, and I took over a team in a 16-team dynasty league over a decade ago, and I mentioned that my keepers were Dion Phaneuf and then a really, really bad defenseman, bad in terms of morality, from the LA Kings, and it was Slava Voinov. I couldn't remember his name. So, in your 30s, you're young, trust me, enjoy, because when 45 hits, it hits. I feel that, man. I feel that, dude. All right, here we go. What's up, sleeves? Just pulled 91 live moments Dobson, and I have the 91 live moments Quinn Hughes. I was wondering, who should I choose? They'd be paired with X Factor Makar. I am now with the hitting changes in this patch. Goalies are going to get the highlight in this patch, but there's a line in the in the patch notes where it reduced speed or the speed boost when you're holding down the check. Holding down on the right stick or holding down B or square, however you hit, and you kind of got to charge. Now that that's gone, hitting is very difficult in my opinion. If you are someone that, plays lower divisions maybe and you just run at everyone, in Division 1 and 2, it's very hard to knock people off the puck with this latest patch, and I found that while I like using Quinn Hughes, I have his X Factor, I needed to pair him with someone like Robinson or someone big. So if you're going to pair with Makar, I would go Dobson, because if you've got two smaller guys, even if they're fast, I don't trust pochecks unless you're on a better server connection than your opponent. So that's just me personally. Guys said pokes are too good. This is the funny thing about NHL, guys. We're all playing a different game. You have to understand that this game, more than any other sports video game, I'm very confident in saying this, the player base experiences such a vast difference in experience from multiple different ways. So the game, when you play Madden, when you play MLB, when you play NCAA when it comes out, at the high end, you're playing a different game than what you're playing in the casuals, like, whatever that might be. So for division or NHL, I'd say low division 3 and below is your casual player, or maybe you play a lot, but like you're gonna play against the weaker opponents. It's a completely different game than what you play in the higher divisions. However, because NHL is impacted so much by connection, it depends on where you're located in your server. So if you are for Southern Ontario and your home server is Quebec and you match up with someone who is getting 2 ping straight line, there's Quebec people that aren't getting 2 ping. I understand that, but for the majority, it's 2 ping. And you're in Southern Ontario, you're roughly getting around 20 to 25. All right, so poke-checking and hitting is going to be vastly different for someone from Quebec than it is for someone in Southern Ontario. Same thing goes for if you're in St. Louis or you're in Missouri. Word to my man, Daddy Padre. He's getting like 30 ping or 20 ping to Central. Someone from Chicago or Minnesota, they're getting like 5. Again, just different. And then on top of that, you've got console. If you're playing on cross console, I wouldn't recommend it. PlayStation has a latency issue compared to Xbox, so that impacts the game. Like, there's so much that goes in to changing your game experience that unless you got everyone together and played on LAN, there's no way to determine just like what is what, which is why I don't give my feedback on gameplay anymore, because I personally don't think one opinion is more important than another when it comes to gameplay. And my experience is far different than everyone else's. So someone that says pokes are too good, if you watch my streams, like, pochecks do not work for me. I would say at least 70% of the time. If I knock it free, it's a good pocheck, no penalty, no nothing, gets it right back. Happens way too much. Yo, sleeves. First of all, happy belated birthday. Thank you, my man. Now on to the question. Which comes first in your opinion? Having players on their offhand side for easy setup for one-timers, or higher overall rating? For instance, I'm loaded up on left-handed defensemen, but not so much on right-handed defensemen. It's only a matter of a few points in overall, but I would have left-handers on both sides going with the higher overall rating. So I'll touch on this real quick. God, another thing about 24 that is not talked about enough is that I don't know if it's just on PlayStation, because my experience is on PlayStation, not on Xbox, and on Total Control. I use Total Controls because I think EA is going to continue to improve it, and I think that in a couple of years it will be the only go-to. But I understand why people use skill sticks still. However, I can't get one-timers cleanly. On top of that, you have to hold L2 to get the one-timer animation instead of a shove check, and then 90% of the time I'm getting the catch and release, right? So that significantly limits the value you get from offhanded defensemen. Now, what it does do, though, is it allows you to, fire low far side from the point, things like that. I think having players offhanded will always be the most important. Not because you're going to utilize it, but your opponent has to respect it. When they're on their strong side or they're lefty on left, it's more efficient for you. Again, if you throw tip shots on net, you can do it with a strong side defenseman easier than you can having to go on your offhand and fire it, right? However, your opponent knows that that's really your only play, as opposed to being on the offhand. Now they got to respect maybe the one-timer or the tip shot, walking in, things like that. So it's always more beneficial to use offhand. Also, what do you think about this year's events? I think EA has really screwed the pooch this year for the most part. This All-Star event is a shadow of its former self, and I know coming from a Boston fan, but Tkachuk over Pasta for Team of the Year, really? I now understand because you explained the Bergeron situation, because I thought they snubbed him for the captain's event. I was thinking Jamie Benn over Bergeron. Thanks for clearing that up. And the store this year has been filled with cash grab packs. I sure hope they're saving some of that money for NHL 25, so it'll be good. It'll blow my mind. Sorry. Anyways, have a good one and keep the great content. Thank you, man. Apparently, I can't read. Yeah, I think that this year, the All-Star event it's a mess. It all comes back to, I feel like they weren't prepared, or they had a lot of ideas and did not execute on really any of them. If you go all the way back to the Headliners event, I remember we did a recording for that, and as I'm explaining it in the pre-recorded thing, they did a stream for it, a push-the-button stream, which was great. They only did one of them. And they introduced those mode collectibles, the Rivals collectibles. It's reinventing the wheel when they don't have the tech to do so. Without a fundamental change in how content comes out, it's just never going to, you can't improve upon it. It's been like this for 9 years, right? I can respect them trying new things. None of them have really hit. I think that too often they are just trying to get through the day and not forward thinking and having having a plan in place. And we end up with just confusion. I said it in my video yesterday going over the new 91 speed cards, but I don't understand why Leon Draisaitl is getting a speed upgrade every single upgrade he gets. If you go back and look at his 89 to his 92, he's getting 3 or 4 speed upgrades every single time. It's supposed to go up by 0.5. And Elias Pettersson, for example, follows that path, right? So I just really don't understand it. They changed the way that fantasy and fantasy cards upgrade. So, if JT Miller scores a bunch of goals, gets up to a 92, and he gets a Team of the Week, his card is a 93. However, they backed themselves into a corner, and now they can't release an Oliver Bonk card because he's at 99, and same with Drew Doughty. So what are they going to do when Drew Doughty scores a hat trick? Release a 99? I doubt it. They don't have the stones for that, I don't think. And it's tough because I don't entirely lay this on the content team. Like I said, the issue lies that Hockey Ultimate Team has been fundamentally the exact same since NHL 16 or 17. It's a massive issue, and until they sit down and spend an entire year on rebuilding the mode, I pray to God it's this year, and we get new progression and new ways to collect cards and getting away from the events every 2 weeks and things like that. There's really not much else they can do to change it. But yeah, the card selection and things like that has really not made a lot of sense. That was long. I apologize. Hey man, so I need some help with my team. I apologize, man. When it comes to just taking a look, don't just put your whole team. Give me a couple questions or be like, hey, should I choose McKinnon over Pasta, for example? If I do this for you, I gotta do it for everybody, and it just it eats up the entire video. So I apologize. Next question, just like I said, hey, I've got these 3 forwards. Who would you choose out of those ones? Hey, Slaves, no HUT question, just a comment. I don't think every game is designed to make you feel shitty for not playing. Oh, this goes back to a conversation we had in the last video. Hyper-competitive games like NHL or Mortal Kombat or COD, yes, the FOMO exists. I think super compelling narratives can keep you engaged without grinding for something, like Red Dead 2 or Mass Effect. Keep up the great work. 100%. I'll give you a perfect example. So what I was talking about is that games are now engineered to keep you playing, and they don't rely on you getting constant dopamine hits and the game being really fun throughout the entire way. It's essentially you get a FOMO feeling. Okay, I'm going to fall behind. I got to keep playing. Okay, it's designed where, I'm not going to get the rewards if I don't play more games. I got to play. I got to play. I got to play. I got to play. I'm not getting any better. I'm stuck at this rating. So now I got to keep playing to get better. Like, the gaming industry is designed for that. What he's saying here is that games like Red Dead 2 or Mass Effect have great narratives and you don't need to be super competitive. My man, you just described 2 games that came out like a decade ago, right? Like, gaming 10 years ago was far different, and that's what I was talking about. The days of the RPG are not dead, but they are few and far between. And I'll give you a perfect example as to why. Starfield, when it came out, I loved it. I did an entire playthrough. It took over my life. I played, 100 hours in 2 weeks, off stream too. Like, it was fantastic. It had been a long time since a game had gripped me like that. Here's the thing: once you play an RPG game, that's really it. Live service games are designed so that you keep playing every day. RPGs can't really replicate that unless they're releasing tons of DLCs and things like that. You also just described 2 games that came out. Like I said, Mass Effect is one of the greatest game series of all time, in my opinion. Mass Effect 2 is in my top 3 video games of all time. Like Mass Effect 2. It's just we're not in that same thing anymore, because you can make $100 on a game sale, correct? Once you buy that game, that's it. You're not getting any more money from the consumer. You fire up Madden Ultimate Team, you buy Madden, that's $100. You spend $500 on packs, you're gonna do it again next year. It's just the money involved in the business is completely changed. So the game is now designed keep you in the game. Just keep playing. That's it. In an RPG, they want you to go at your own pace, because if you burn out, the game's over. They don't, you know what I mean? So they can work on that. Slaves, you're the man. What advice would you give to someone who would like to start uploading NHL content? Oh, love this. There is not enough NHL content creators, guys. I always say this, that people ask me, like, why do I want to see more NHL content creators? Perfect example is the way that YouTube works specifically, or TikTok, is the algorithm. Even if you are looking at NHL videos, you might not find my channel, right? I'm talking about why I want to see personally more content creators. They might not like my channel. You might not like me, right? And when you get someone new, whether it's the smallest creator, they might like it. Now, if those creators are creating more content and they're starting to build up, let's say, that you got 5,000 subs, not even 1,000. Sometimes those people, they've got jobs, things like that. Maybe they're not around. Even if they don't watch me or other creators, you've brought in someone new into the viewer base. High tides raise all ships. So if you're not around, maybe they say, hey, I'm going to look at other NHL creators. Maybe they find myself or someone else. And that's why I think that having more creators is better for everybody, which is why I always love helping out players that really want to create content. Here's what I would recommend. It depends on your goal. If you want to do this for a living, it changes drastically. I went in 2017, January 1st, I said, this is going to be my job. And I treated it as such. I didn't rush. I didn't say, how do I make money right now? I just said, I need to just grow. That's it. And that's what I've done. And really, I've kind of kept that same philosophy. Obviously, money's a little bit more important now because it's my livelihood. It's how I make all of my money, right? And that's going to be different. It depends. Do you like streaming? Like, can you sit in front of a camera and talk to chat? A perfect example as to why I started streaming is I'm an only child. When I played video games, it was with my friends at their house. As we get older, your friends, if anyone that isn't 30 yet, once you get married and have kids, the first thing to go is your boys, at night playing video games together all the time. And if you've got a group, you're lucky. But I didn't have a lot of my friends. They didn't keep playing video games, and I did. And the reason why I started streaming was I view Twitch streaming not as like a money maker. It's just a couple hundred like-minded people hanging out while you're playing video games. That's why I love streaming. My best streams are when I'm just shooting the shit with chat. YouTube is a way to grow Twitch. But if you want to create a YouTube channel, that's fine as well. I think that YouTube, once you get started, and it takes a long time to get a viewer base, it's by the hardest to grow, but it is the most rewarding in terms of financially, as well as predictability once you get to a certain point. If you want to start creating content, I would figure out, do you like franchise mode? Franchise mode, by the way, guys, is the easiest way to grow in any sports category. It doesn't matter if it's MLB, Madden, whatever, especially on YouTube, because it is long-form videos. People will like to chill and just watch you do a franchise mode. I'm excited to do my own, but I always overthink. Another thing is don't overthink. Don't be, I call them whiteboarders, where you're literally just planning and you're stuck in the planning stage. Fire up a stream or make a YouTube video on, what are you good at? Like, I did tip videos. That was a way. But in all honesty, if you wanted like a breakdown of like where I would recommend spending time, 50% TikTok, 40% YouTube, 10% Twitch. That's how I would allot my time. Hey, Slaves, love the content, brother. No money spent inspired me to make a no money spent team this year. I've had way more fun this year than ever. Love to hear that. A lot more strategy is needed. Anyways, my question is, since I built Arnott and Robinson, I still have Madonna on my second line with Gretzky and Lemieux. Should I still make 2 more 90 team builders and make Nash that way, or trade Madonna and a 90 team builder and just replace him? I love Madonna, and it's a tough move. It's tough to move on. Anyways, thanks for the help. Keep up the great work. You have to make an extra team builder anyways to make all 4. And I think the play, if you're no money spent, is to slow play it and make Nash or Salo. Nash has been so good, but there's so many good left-handed wingers, right? Nash or Salo, and then slowly wait to use Madonna. Like, you can make another team builder. Because Madonna's so good, man. He's so good. I would be patient. Hey, Slaves, I presently have 87 Nolan All-Star card on my 4th line. Should I keep upgrading him, or should I be looking at someone else? Nolan's card is nothing crazy, man. That's a fan card. So if you're a fan of the player, right? That's the only reason I would upgrade. He's not going to be someone that's going to be on your team in a month, probably. You're going to want to replace him. They should have made the event winners get a free silver ability at least. Well, that's kind of what they did. You're talking about the All-Star event. So when they win an event, they're getting a silver ability added to the card. Every event they do. So new All-Star. I can't wait to see the All-Star event this year. The skills competition. Last year I went. It was awful. And McDavid literally went to the NHLPA and the NHL and said, we got to fix this because this is awful. And he did an article, actually, an interview talking about the gimmicky stuff. And he's like, we got to get rid of this. It's just awful. And obviously, the skills competition is kind of catered around McDavid, right? Like, it's the biggest stars, right? And he was like, no, we got to fix this. So the new All-Star skills format is it has got to be you are going to see the players try as hard as possible in the event. So how it's going to work is there's 12 players. Not every team is representative. In fact, 5 players represent the Canucks and Leafs, right? And 7 players represent the Avalanche, the Canucks, and the Leafs. So, it's not everyone's getting representative. Every player chooses 4 out of 6 events to compete in. They all get points based on how they finish. And then after 6 events, everyone has done 4. I believe 6 players get cut. And then they do a final 2 events, and they whittle it down, and the winner will get $1 million. $1 million to an NHL player is a lot of money. You are going to see players go all out. But what I'm frustrated with is because of this and the fact that they can compete in multiple events. So technically, the winner of the entire thing is going to compete in 6 events, right? And if let's say he wins them all, right, he's going to have a bunch of silver abilities, but it's they should have done what they've done in the years past, where if they won an event, attributes go to 99. And man, if McDavid balls out, wins fastest skater, speed and excel go to 99, although that's not that crazy, but his 87 would get a big bump. If he wins hardest shot, his slap shot and accuracy go to 99. He wins the accurate passing challenge, he goes to 99 passing and puck control. That would have been insane to watch that, because, if someone absolutely explodes, you've got such a unique card and everyone is more interested. The way they did it this year was they took the fun, like, it's just not nearly as exciting. So, New Guitar says, Sleeves, this was a great Who Should You Choose episode. I especially enjoyed the in-depth feedback from the user who gave his views on various goalies and aspects of the game. Your final comments on enjoyment of, or lack thereof, that we experience year after year of playing EA's lackluster update that is shamelessly packaged and marketed as a full iteration was spot on. I distinctly remember the unbelievable exhaustion and elation I felt when I finished Gears of War, and then was equally entranced and enthralled by the pounding bass and hyped up lyrics of the closing credits song that had a remix of some of the main characters Epic sang during the game. Man, Gears of War. To this day, I never experienced that perfect mix of excitement, exhaustion, and most importantly, satisfaction and sense of achievement. Keep up the great work, Sleeves, and have a great fun at the All-Star game. If you were born in the early 90s, I still stand by the statement that if you were born between 1990 and 1993, you got to experience the greatest childhood ever. In terms of the era you grew up in, we got to experience no cell phones and no consumer internet really until we were like 10 teenagers, right? We had to go outside, all that nonsense. But video games, like, there was no, like, online play didn't take off until, like, SOCOM was the first, like, huge, right? And then you had Medal of Honor, but it was really Halo that made it consumer, where, like, it was easy, it worked, you didn't need extra stuff, you just needed your Xbox 360, and you got Halo, and even Halo 2 on the original Xbox, right? We got to experience, like, the rise of it, but online play significantly changed how we play video games, and we also got to experience some of the best single-player games that you're ever going to see, and companies just don't invest the same amount of time and money in a video game. Think of it like this. Metal Gear Solid should be a feature-length movie. It is an incredible video game from start to finish, from the writing, the music, the soundtrack, the action, the gameplay is just incredible all the way through. Back then, if they shipped a game that that didn't work, there was nothing they could do. There was no day zero patch or update, right? And it just more went into them, and single player games, man. It's just a childhood thing now. Like, obviously we got Starfield, but again, Starfield was met with so many bugs and issues because as you release these crazy games, they've got to compete with online things, so you've got to just go all out, like so all out that it's just not really feasible, right? Like, the landscape of video gaming has changed entirely, and man, those days, man, it's like, yeah, back in my day, but you really, kids, like, if you're a teenager and you grew up now playing Fortnite, Fortnite was an incredible game. It's going to be one of the holy grail video games that we'll always look back on, but that was game to game, and it was, dependent on, okay, into the next one, right? Story mode single player games that were just done to perfection are art form isn't really like, that's being dramatic, but like I said, Mass Effect 2, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Metal Gear Solid, like, those are my favorite games of all time, and you're just never gonna see video games. The Last of Us is probably, and Red Dead Redemption 2. I am so curious. Sorry about the long tangent here about video games, but I want to talk about it, and this is my channel, so I think that we are going to see a all-time generational video game in Grand Theft Auto 6. I think that everyone's excited about Grand Theft Auto 6. You have to understand that they took a decade. Grand Theft Auto 5 went 3 console generations. 3. On top of that, they did billions in sales. And the game cost over $2 billion to make. I believe it was 2.8. Like, I think that we are going to see a video game. Hopefully the story, when I think Grand Theft Auto, man, I think Grand Theft Auto 2, 3, Vice City. I don't care about online. I never really played Grand Theft Auto online. I'm excited to now, but the story of Grand Theft Auto 5, I played it like 9 times. I loved it. And I'm hoping that they really put a focus on that, and it's not just one of those, here's a 20-hour story, now go play online. Because I think there's danger in that. But I think that we are going to see something that is so drastically crazy. Unlike any other video game that we look back on it, 30 years of video games, we're like, man, Grand Theft Auto 6 was nuts. I honestly think the next leap in gaming specifically for, I think what saves the genre of RPGs and single player games, I think is going to be when they allow AI into their video games to be NPCs. So, for an example, let's say Grand Theft Auto 6 had AIs. You're walking down the street and ChatGPT is just a random guy and he can send you on a mission. He can send you on a crazy experience or whatever. You come back and now you've got these quests and like missions to do, and he ends up, buying a house in your area. Like, it just like that is when I think we will see the next leap and the resurgence of single player games is when you get a true AI experience from NPC characters in a video game. But guys, that was a long-winded answer talking about other video games that wasn't NHL. I apologize. I will be at the All-Star game. I am going to try and do one more Who Should You Choose tomorrow. And then my YouTube content, I'm going to try when I'm at my hotel on Friday night after the skills. Saturday morning. Oh, I got so much to do. I'm at the Influencer 3-on-3 tournament. I'm a coach, actually, going up against Nasher and Coach Chippy and Swaggy P and Zach Bell. So I'm excited, but that's my Saturday morning. I might not have the new event video up until Sunday, but I'm going to try and record it for Friday from my hotel. But anyways, thank you guys again for watching. If you're at the All-Star game, come say hi. I'll be walking around. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.